Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Yavaki vancaham bhikkhave ime panchupadanakkhandhe chatu parivattang yatha bhutang abbanyāsing. Ataham bhikkhave sadevake loke samarake sabbrahmake sassamana brahmaniya pajaya sadeva manussaya anuttarang samma sambodhing abhisambuddhoti paccanyāsingti. Dear friends in Dhamma, so as you know, we are discussing a certain sutta as a kind of guidance to our practice. And nowadays, actually, we are using one particular sutta in the Khanda Sangyukta. You know, there are connected discourses of the sutta. Sometimes we call it as Sangyukta Nikaya. And there is one section in the canon. There are 5 major categories in the canon to the Sutta Pitaka. And one area is called the Sangyukta Nikaya, where the connected discourses are very much like aligned, very much like collected. So in this particular section is called Khanda Sangyukta, where all different kinds of expositions related to the aggregates, khandas, are accumulated. And they are the ones included there. And so Buddha gives some detailed explanation about the aggregates. So what are aggregates? So various groups. So how Buddha explained our whole experience. The so-called body, so-called mind, so-called beings, animals, humans, devas, brahmas, and all different, existence. So everything actually can be explained through 5 aggregates. So that's an interesting way of categorization, an interesting way of looking at things. So rather than we sort of trapped and looked at ourselves as an individual, as a person, as so and so. So Buddha gave a different way of looking at things. So that is very interesting and very important, because otherwise we are not even ready to look at it. We are typically recognizing ourselves as an individual, a very special person, a VIP, why not? Not a single, not a normal person, but a very important person. So my name is this, my title is this, my designation is this, my degree is this, my education is this, my nation is this. So many things are there for us to sort of identify ourselves with. And on the other hand, we use all that to look down the others and to have conflicts with others, and sometimes put down ourselves and put others up. So either way, many different ways. So ultimately end up with a lot of conflicts, with a lot of battles, wars, and ultimately everyone suffers. So like that, our typical way of conventions, even though they give us a lot of communication and the facility to communicate among ourselves, but still it can lead to a lot of conflicts, because we strongly adhere to them. We strongly hold them, and we believe that they are very true, they are very important, and we have to give a lot of emphasis to that. We have to believe them, we have to trust them, we have to accept them. And ultimately, unknowingly even, we get trapped in them. So how to overcome that, how to understand this whole thing, is in a way kind of a looking at deeply, looking at things in a more systematic way in one sense, and on the other hand, looking at things more deeply rather than simply superficially touching the things. So typically we are learning our, languages, our terms, words. We start with letters actually. We start letters recognizing, okay, these are the shape of letter A, this is the shape of letter B. So we start like that. And then we start generating words. So what are the letters to represent mother What are the letters to represent father? A flower, a color. So we are learning. In the kindergarten, we are learning. And then we are gone to the college and again we are learning. So we are gathering a lot of information. Now we can write a statement. Then we have learned the grammar. So first we learned the letters and then the words and then sentences. To make sentences we need grammar. And now we are learning a language. So why not 2 languages? Yes. So many languages. So we are proud to tell, okay, I know Sinhala, not only Sinhala, I know English as well. I know even Tamil. I know even German, right? So we are proud of telling that. So like that, this learning process, in a way, kind of gathering information and storing all that in our mind, memorizing everything, and at another time, again, recalling everything. So all these things, ultimately, we believe, we trust they are very real. So he's from Germany, so he's a German. So we believe that very strong, right? So if there's a battle going on, then we don't allow him even to come in. Because we strongly believe that, we are very adhere to that, then there are racial conflicts. Many things are there. So how we started, we can't even remember how we started. How we started as an infant, how we are born as a baby, how our mother called us, how our father called us, how our brother, sister called us, and how we got a name. We can't remember that even now. So in a way, the Dhamma help us to go back to the basics and to understand thoroughly, in a way, little going non-conventional way, and using Yoniso Manasikara, using the wise reflection, wise attention, and to see things as they truly are. So today actually we have to talk about that subject little detail. So in one occasion Buddha informed the Sangha like this. Yava kivancha ham bhikkhave ime panchupadana khande chatu parivattang yathabhutang nabbanyasing. So that means, monks, till I didn't have thorough understanding, particularly about the 4 phases of these 5 clinging aggregates, Nevatavaham bhikkhave sadevake loke samarake sabbrahmake sassamana brahmaniya pajaya sadeva manussaya anuttarang samma sambodhin abhisambuddhoti paccanyasing. So that means till I had that thorough understanding, 4 phases of the 5 clinging aggregates, I didn't declare myself as the Samma Sambuddha, as the fully enlightened Buddha, to this whole different kinds of folk, including the Maras, Devas, Brahmas, the humans, and the whoever else. So among this vast crowd, I didn't declare myself as the Samma Sambuddha, as the fully enlightened Buddha, till I had the thorough understanding, particularly about the 4 phases of these 5 clinging aggregates. So you can see it's a kind of a declaration that Buddha is making. He is so firm about it. And once he become the Buddha, now he declares another way. He says, Yatojako aham bhikkhave ime panchupadana khande chatu parivattang yathabhutang abbanyasing. Okay, now I fully understood the 4 phases of the 5 clinging aggregates. I fully understood. Now, atahang bhikkhave sadevake loke samarake sabbrahmake sassamana brahmaniya pajaya sadeva manussaya anuttaran samma sambodhin abhisambuddhoti paccanyasing. So now I declare, among the vast crowd, including the Maras, including the Devas, including the Brahmas, including the humans, Devas, whoever else, so I declare myself as the Samma Sambuddha. So it's a kind of a lion's roar that Buddha is making. And he, on the other hand, admit, till I had the thorough understanding about these 5 clinging aggregates and there are 4 phases, I didn't declare myself as the Buddha. But once I thoroughly understand, directly understand these 5 clinging aggregates with their 4 phases, now I declare myself as the Samma Sambuddha. So you can see as a teacher, he is making a kind of a lion's roar. He is now not afraid of telling that he is a Samma Sambuddha. So such a value is there to his statement, and he on the other hand admit if someone doesn't have this thorough understanding, he can't say he is the Buddha, isn't it? So if someone to declare oneself as a Samma Sambuddha, so in a way it is a must to have a thorough understanding about these 5 clinging aggregates, including these 4 phases. So what are the 5 clinging aggregates? Rupa Upadana Khanda, form aggregate. Vedana Upadana Khanda, that is the feelings clinging aggregate. Then Sanya Upadana Khanda, perceptions clinging aggregate. Sankhara Upadana Khanda, formations clinging aggregate. And the Vijnana Upadana Khanda, that is the consciousness clinging aggregate. So a little bit of theory in a way at the beginning. So we need to know these are the 5 categories that Buddha kind of introduced for us to understand our whole experience. So as I said, typically we have our name, our identity card number, our passport and place, our address and our education, our mother, our father, our country, and this is how we identify ourselves, isn't it? You know that where you are, you know what your name, you know what is your age, you know your parents, you know your education, you know your country, your nationality, blah blah blah. So many parameters are there so that we can say, okay, I am so and so. But Buddha is giving us a different kind of categorization. So can you put your whole experience into these 5 categories? Now, how many do we have and how many Buddha introduce? How many do we typically have to introduce ourselves? 1, 2, 3. How many? Many, right? So the more you think, much better. But Buddha just give 5, okay? Just 5 categories. But with these 5 categorizations, 5 clinging aggregates, the whole experience, this whole universe can be represented. That's the beauty in a way. Even though it is in a way 5 categorizations, 5 groups, still the whole universal experience can be sort of represented. That's in a way a very beautiful thing. So as you know, the form aggregate, it consists of the whole physical thing. So whatever the physical includes that. So now if I put it to myself, so this whole body comes under that. So all outside physical things also comes under that. All the past physical things, that also comes under that. Whatever the future physical things, that also comes under the form aggregate. Whatever closer to you, still also there. Whatever far, that's also there. Whatever internal, whatever external, whatever past, whatever future, whatever present, and whatever gross, whatever, or we can say whatever inferior, whatever superior. So likewise, there are 11 kinds of expansions that he introduced to these 5 clinging aggregates, so that whatever you can think of related to the physical things, that is there. So in that sense, it's a very broader way of categorization. Even though it is a single form aggregate, and we typically try to recognize it within ourselves through our direct experience, but inferentially we can say it's a vast area, it's included, whatever is physical. And on the other hand, say the feelings. So different kinds of feelings are also there. Pleasurable feelings, painful feelings, neutral feelings. And how many types of pleasurable feelings are there? Can you name them, or can you collect them? Can you tabulate them? Uncountable, isn't it? Say for example, when you are having a soft drink, one kind of taste. When you are having milk, another kind of taste. When you are drinking just a bottle of water, another kind of taste. If you are drinking another, say, coffee, another kind of taste. And how about the pleasure? So have some different textures, different tones. So even though the categorization is very simple, pleasurable feelings, painful feelings, equanimous feelings, but enormous number of pleasurable feelings are there. Enormous number of painful feelings are there. Enormous number of neutral feelings are there. Uncountable, isn't it? So we are going through all these things every time. So whatever the feelings are under the categorization of the Vedana Upadana Khandha. Actually, when we are associating, grasping, holding, then only actually it becomes an Upadana Khandha. Otherwise, they are aggregates, khandhas. But the tendency is to associate and sort of grasp, hold, tell that it belongs to me. I want it. I have it. It is mine. So likewise, we always have kind of a relationship, want to have a relationship, want to have it, want to possess it, and hold it strongly. So likewise, many things are there, isn't it? So feelings. Actually, today we are going to discuss about the third one. Those are the perceptions. Actually, we already discussed the form aggregate and the feelings aggregate. So I am going to discuss about the third one, perceptions aggregate. So according to the Buddha's teaching, actually immediately we won't get a huge perception, but at a very fundamental level, we are getting certain signs, marks through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. Say, for example, when you are looking at someone, so you see the figure, you see the shape, maybe you see the color, and these are the very primitive characteristics that we can gather through our eyes, isn't it? So we can see the color, we can see the shape, and since we have two eyes, we can see even the depth, isn't it? If we just have one eye, we can't see the depth. Then we are in a living kind of a 2D world. Now we are in a 3D world because we have the capacity to perceive the depth through our eyes. So the brain do a lot of magic and prepare the depth so that when we have two eyes, we gather information so that I perceive as, oh, this is 3D. So likewise, so a lot of things are there internally going on, even though things are very easy to perceive, but many little things are going on. So if we simply consider the eye, so you know that the light should be available, proper enough illumination should be available, the waves have to come and hit your retina, eye have to be open, eye have to be visible, and I have to pay attention. Without attention, that's also not there. And properly the brain has to decode it, isn't it? So everything happens smoothly. I recognize, oh, he's so and so. So you can see it's very quick, but many things are going on. And how about after we recognize? Do we simply keep it aside? So that's why Buddha explained little detail in the Madhupindika Sutta. Actually, Venerable Maha Kaccana explained, Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññānam. When, say, eye and the form are properly aligned, when the enough illumination and all these things are there, but it is not mentioned in this thing that we can understand. So when that alignment happens, then the chakku viññāna, that is the eye consciousness, happen. So you get a kind of a initial awareness, some knowing, a very little knowing. But next moment also it happens. Your eye is still open, the form is still there, another eye consciousness. Your eye is there, form is there, next moment eye consciousness. So likewise, a series of eye consciousness, I form eye consciousness, I form eye consciousness. So like that. So when it happens like that, now altogether it is considered as contact, passa. So what contact causes? Feelings. Contact causes feelings, right? Passa paccaya vedana. Yang vedeti tang sanjanati. Now we are coming to the subject. So when we in a way feel something, we have a tendency to recognize it. Sanjanati. Recognition now going on. Now is it only limited to eye? So what are the things in that sense? How many kinds of signs are there? So with respect to the forms, we have different kinds of signs, right? So it may lead to form-related perceptions even. Say for example, I like the color red. What is your like? Maybe green, blue. So why? It's a perception, right? So you simply recognize the color through the eye. Now it is being again and again recognized, and then we are putting all of our other tendencies, and now I have a perception related to that color. But initially we simply recognize the color that Buddha mentioned. Sanya sanyati also uchati. Kittavatanuko also sanyati uchati. Perception, so we can't say it's really a perception here. We can simply say sign is it said. What is really a sign? Sanjanati tiko also tasma sanyati uchati. It is the recognition. It is because we can recognize. That's why I call it as a sign. So what we can recognize? Kincha sanjanati. What we can recognize? Nilakampi sanjanati, pitakampi sanjanati, lohitakampi sanjanati, odatampi sanjanati. Nilakampi sanjanati. That means we can recognize, it is blue color, your favorite color. It is pitakampi sanjanati. This is yellow color. Lohitakampi sanjanati. It is red color. Odatampi sanjanati. It is white color. So we can recognize. You can see, even these subtle things are mentioned in a way very beautiful. Now through science and we can know, but even these subtle points, mentioned in the Dhamma, very interesting if you are paying some close attention, in a way very scientific. Going to the very basics, very fundamentals, how these so-called perceptions are generated within ourselves. So through the eyes, now we can recognize different colors. And how you name it as blue color? Can I call it as red color to this? So why are we calling it as blue color? Everybody agree that this is blue color? So we are very much like pre-coded, right? So we learned, okay, this color is blue. This color is green. Okay, this color is white. We learned that in our college. Maybe our mother, our father, our teacher, kindergarten, first year, second year, grade 1, grade 2. So everywhere the teacher tells, no, this is not red, this is blue. So we learned that. So after that we need to remember, when we see that, we need to tell, okay, this is blue. So everyone come to the same ground, everybody believe, everybody trust, everybody tell the same thing, okay, this is blue. So, you can recognize how these conventions are being generated among the human beings. Now say someone is coming from outside and he is telling, from nowadays on, from today onwards, you have to call it as red. Who is going to against him? So are you all right with it? Now this is a simple example. Sometimes probably you can even agree with it. Now say as a group, we recognize something as, assume that we are making a new road and give it a very beautiful name. Suppose that there's a person who contributed a lot into build this road. So he suggests his name, okay, you got to put my name. so and so's name. Say we'll put a name. What's okay? Subhasingha Mawata. So someone else coming and say, no, I also contributed. You can't put your name. You have to put my name, Pereira Mawata. Now, what's going to happen? So Subhasingha and Pereira are in a conflict. For what? For a name. Are they going to fight? Why not? Say then another person come, he's a Tamil person. He tell, no, you have to put Subramaniam Mawata. Now, probably Pereira and Subhasingha may both go against Subramaniam. Now the racial conflict also comes to the picture. For what? Name. I mean, how much are we believing this? How much are we adhere to this? You can see, I mean, what happened to us? This is a very fundamental way that we have put names to recognize ourselves among a crowd. We need to individually recognize ourselves. So we have given a name. But unknowingly we start attached to that. I want that. So that represents me. So I like that. That is more important. I am a very special person. Subhasingha is the best person. Now he said, no, Pereira is the best person. Pereira is the one most important person, not the Subhasingha. No, Subramaniam is the one most important person. Otherwise, I am going to kill you. Now everybody is in conflict. Now is only the human have this? I don't know whether the others also have this kind of a convention. I saw that some animals also have some mechanism of marking their territories and all these things. So it's a kind of a nature that we are kind of possessive to all these things, to science, everything. So with respect to forms, therefore, colors are there, different shapes are there. So these are the different signs with respect to the forms, the signs, using which we can recognize, isn't it? So we can, enormous number of colors are there, enormous number of shapes are there. And with that, we can recognize different colors, different shapes, we can recognize. That comes under form type of perception, form types of signs. That is one category. How about sounds? So how are you decoding what I am talking? How are you understanding that? Very interesting, isn't it? I mean, you first have to learn the sounds and then maybe letters, words, how to pronounce it. So when I am pronouncing it in a way, now you are interpreting that within yourself, decoding it, and now you get the meaning to understand. Now actually just before I arrive here, there were two guys talking in Tamil, just adjacent to my kuti, to my room. But I couldn't understand. So they are in a bit louder way that they are talking. But no problem to me at all, because I didn't understand. Probably tomorrow you can hear someone working in the adjacent, the garage. They may tell in Sinhala something, if there's a quarrel. I also might get disturbed because I can understand. But the primitive level is just the sounds. But now we have the capacity to decode it, understand it, interpret it. This is a good word, this is a bad word. This is what he meant. He looked down me. He is bad, I am good. He is correct, I am incorrect, or I am correct. He is not correct. So all these interpretations happen with respect to the sounds in that sense. So can you recognize when a child cries and a dog barks? How are you differentiating? So how? So we learn, right? So we know how a child cry, how it hears like, and how a dog bark, how it hears like. So you can see even to these different sounds, there are little marks using which we can recognize. So when say bus going on in the road, so we can recognize. When a three-wheeler going on, again we can recognize. So we can see different tones are there, different frequencies are there. So different marks are there using which we are recognizing, okay, this is a particular sound. This is a woman's sound. This is a male sound. And even going beyond that, okay, this is so and so sound. Say when, Amaradeva sings, we can recognize. When Nihal Nelson sings, okay, we can recognize. How? The same human sound, but there are differences. So, we have some critical senses in that sense. So we can recognize among ourselves, individually, we all have some minor changes in our tone, in our sound, the way we speak. So using which we can recognize who is the one talking now, who is the one singing now. What is the sound of the vehicle? What is the sound of the animal? So all that we can recognize. Using what? Different marks, different tones, we can say frequencies, etc., etc. Comes all under the sounds perception, the category of the perceptions of the sounds or the signs of the sounds. And actually it can lead to the perceptions. At the very early stage it is, we can say simply the signs, marks, but using which we develop within ourselves certain perceptions. Okay, when a particular bird sings, so it may be a auspicious sound. When a dog barks, I don't like, it's not an auspicious sound. So we develop kind of a perception within ourselves to a particular sound. So you can see slowly how our mind being conditioned. So when you are born, did you have all these? We didn't have any of these, right? We are in a kind of a fresh mind. So I like to hear maybe my mother's sound, father's sound, and all little play things. And then slowly I develop certain kind of conditioning in my mind. Then I am learning a language, so that comes separately. Now similarly, you can understand with respect to the odors. So different odors are there. Say incense, when it's burned, a kind of a odor. Say a particular flower, so we can recognize when a rose flower is there, one kind of a odor, and maybe a lotus flower, a different kind of a odor. So you can distinctly recognize, okay, this is a lotus flower. Even if you can't see it, you can recognize, because there are little signs, marks with respect to that. All that comes under the perceptions of the odors or the signs of the odors. Then what else is there? Tastes, same thing. Like different types of tastes are there. It may be bitter, it may be tasty, chili, salty, blah blah blah. Many things are there. So you can, even when your eyes are closed, you can recognize, okay, this is a coffee, this is a tea. So you can recognize. So our senses are somewhat sensitive to that sense, so we can recognize these different tastes. And I heard when they are making the sort of blends of these, so they have some specialists in the, I don't know what's their name, taste specialists. So they know exactly, okay, this is the proper recipe have to be there when they are making a particular food or making a particular biscuit or whatever it is. So they have those specialists. So they are the ones ultimately decide, okay, this is the recipe, you have to add this much of this much of that. Then only you have the proper brand, then only you can sell. That's a very secret recipe, isn't it? Secret recipes are there so that they will never expose it to the others. So our tongue has the capacity to recognize these different marks. Taste buds are there. So that is the area of the taste. How about touch? That's also there, right? So different touches. Say when you're a kid touching yourself in one way, maybe a dog comes and bites you another way. Maybe when a serpent attack or bite, another way. So likewise, so different kind of things are there with respect to the tangibles as well. Now about the other things, the mental things. Say, suppose when a thought happens to you, how are you recognizing it as a lustful thought? How are you distinguishing that with a hateful thought? Is there a difference? There's a difference, right? So then you can recognize, okay, there are certain changes in the lustful thought and the hateful thought. So you can immediately recognize, okay, this is a lustful thought, this is a the hateful thought. So likewise, so even to the thought world, to the mental world, so these kind of minor categorizations are there, minor, say, marks are there, signs are there, using which we can recognize. Now, so our world is very complicated in that sense, isn't it? So we are living with all these now. Now you can imagine, so we just learn the very basic fundamentals, how we construct this whole thing. Now we learn all these things, remember all these things in our memory, and whenever I see someone, now that memory comes in front and I do some decoding and now I recognize. It happens suddenly. It may not take long time. If it takes long time, then it's a problem. Maybe, what's that called? Dementia. So it's a so as you get old, probably you can experience that as well, dementia. Then we can recognize it as a kind of a disease. Otherwise, it has to happen very quickly. So the sooner, the better. So you need to do it quickly, and then you are pass the exam 100% marks. So you have to memorize everything, and you have to, during the exam, you have to vomit everything. So these are the perceptions. Now, how perceptions happen? So that is the second one. So first one is sanyang abhanyasing. So you have to have some direct knowledge about the perceptions. Now actually that is not that difficult. But the difficulty is to know directly they are perceptions. What happened is, without stopping ourselves them as mere perceptions, we immediately get to the latter stages. What are the latter stages? Yang sanjanati tang vitakketi yang vitakketi tam papancheti yang papancheti tato nidanam purisang papancha sanya sankha samudacharanti atitanagata pachuppannesu chakku viññeyesu rupesu. So it is mentioned, so we can't stop at the sanya level. We can't stop at mere recognition level. So once we recognize, we want to think. Now a thought arises. Just one thought? No, many thoughts. In one direction? No, many directions. Is it well organized? No, not even organized. Many directions, unorganized, different way of thinking. Ultimately leads to conceptual proliferation, overthinking, obsession, and ultimately go mad. Isn't it? By thinking. So recognition, if we could simply limit to mere recognition, okay, this is just a blue color, okay, fine. That's it. You are not thinking too much about it. So blue represent, I don't know what's the party now, blue represent. Previously it is Freedom Party. Maybe today also maybe Freedom Party. Freedom Party is a good party, isn't it? So and so is the president of the Freedom Party, and they are the ones going to win. And I am going to vote for Freedom Party. So everything I can think about it. Is it really necessary? But we are interested of thinking. We are addicted to thinking. We are addicted to thinking. When we see the blue color, we can't stop. Mere seeing. Can't stop. Many thoughts are arising, and I promote thinking. I enjoy thinking. Not in single direction, maybe other directions. Maybe next I might think, no, now this freedom party is not good. Maybe some other party, maybe red color, who's that? They are young, they are the ones only didn't rule this country. We better try that party now as an alternative. Let's vote that party, the red color party. So now we all campaign on that party. So many directions, many directions, not a single direction, many directional way of thinking ultimately lead to utter confusion through conventions, through sanya. We are in a way it's good that we can understand these things, otherwise we all go mad. That much of perceptions are there, that much of languages are there, signs are there, memorize are there. It's good that we at least forget certain things. We only have about, Sri Lankans typically have 2 weeks memory, no? Whatever the incident, just 2 weeks. Nothing to worry about it. So don't worry too much about, even if put your name on Facebook and everything happened, don't worry, just 2 weeks. No need to take so serious. Just 2 weeks. It's good in a way. Otherwise you have to carry all this load in your head. What a burden. So Buddha mentioned Passa Samudaya, Sanya Samudayo. Contact is the root cause of generating the perceptions. So again and again our contact has to happen. The I and the form has to come together. Then the knowing part also has to come together. That contact has to happen. Without contact, the perception may not generate. Similarly, the sound has to contact with the ear. Then the nose with the respective odor. Maybe the tongue with the taste. With the body with the tangibles. The mind with the mind objects. So that contact is the crucial part. So Buddha say, Passa Samudaya, Sanya Samudayo. The contact is the root cause of the perceptions. And then, Passa Nirodha, Sanya Nirodho. So if it is possible for us to avoid contact, the perceptions also may not happen. Now say for example, say I haven't gone to a particular country. Say I have been to one country, so I have a little bit of perception about them. But you haven't been to another country, so you have no perception about them. So the contact hasn't happened. Suppose on the other hand, say you have never tasted a particular type of drink. So you don't know what it is exactly. People may say various things about it, various advertisements are there, but the direct knowledge is not there because you haven't contacted it. So the direct knowledge. Now here we are talking not the mere superficial book knowledge, but the direct knowledge. So with respect to science, so we have to have that direct knowledge. So when we see something, so if we can recognize directly to your own eyes, okay, this is the red color, so that's red color and all these things, my own additions, maybe my later additions, but immediately what happened is a mere color. So in a way we are a little decoding our system. We are going to a little bit of causes to the early stages without immediately jumping into conclusions, without immediately getting to superficial likes and dislikes, higher level perceptions, too much of thinking, prejudices, etc., etc. So we are going to the very basic fundamental level. Okay, this is just a color. This is just a maybe shape. This is just a sound. Just a, say, odor. Just a tangible. Just a thought. So likewise, so if we are able to keep it at to that mere recognition, so that is also a very important thing. But very difficult. Because our minds are conditioned to immediately jump to conclusions. Immediately jump to the prejudices, our own perceptions. Immediately have many thoughts. Immediately get into some overthinking, obsessions. So we need to, in a way, little slow down. Now that's why in a way in our practice, so it happens slowly. Say, that's why assume that when your foot is touching the ground, there also a little bit of perception is included. So you say, okay, if it is right foot, now you are naming it as, yes, it is right. When your left foot is touching the ground, you are naming it as left. So we are using perceptions, isn't it? We are using the names. So immediately we can't get out of perceptions. Immediately we can't get out of conventions. We are using it skillfully to recognize this whole process, to decode this whole process. Without attached to them, without holding them, now we are slowly slow down the process. Next time also your right foot is touching the ground, you are naming it, okay, it is right foot. Left foot is touching the ground, it is the left foot. So slowly as you are continuing like that, so the mindfulness helps us to little step back and watch the process. Now thinking has somewhat subsided. You are no more conceptually proliferate about your experience. So you have cut it down as much as possible. Now with a little silent mind, you are able to experience the present moment. Later you don't need even the label. You don't need even the name. Say when your foot is touching the ground, previously you name it as, okay, this is the right foot. When your left foot is touching the ground, you name it as left foot. Do you really need it? For Vipassana, not necessary. So you can even discard that. Now you are getting to the most primitive kind of a sensation, and you don't need even a name for that. You can call it, you can come to the feeling level and you can call it as, say, it's a pleasurable feeling, it's a painful feeling, it's a, say, equanimous feeling. But even at a later stage, even that is not necessary, even to name it, and you can't even name it. You can't recognize whether it is pleasurable, painful, equanimous, because everything is very fleeting kind of an experience. So, in the practice in one sense, so we are a little bit of slowing down ourselves, slowly, mindfully, silently, SMS. So we are applying SMS and little slow down our that proliferation. Otherwise we are addicted to thinking, overthinking, and now we are using very sort of techniques to slow down that habit. Now still we perceive, but we are trying our best to the very fundamental level, not taking to the too much thinking level. Say for example, when you do Chittanupassana, then only actually we can recognize directly perceptions as perceptions. Till that we are giving more prominence to the body or the feelings, and later only actually the perceptions can be handled properly. Otherwise we are not immediately going to handle that. So that's why I say, for example, while we are meditating, as we discussed during the Dhamma discussion also, say you are going through some subtling of the breath. Previously there's a gross breath, you are able to recognize it, and now it is slowly reducing its intensity, and now it's a subtle breath is there, and you are also very quiet and you are calm down. While you are calm down, now you are seeing a beautiful image. Oh, beautiful, wonderful. It's a Buddha image, very interesting, beautiful Buddha image. While your eyes are closing, what's that? It's a perception. Just now we talked. Is it a Buddha image? It's a perception. That is the sanya. So we are learning this to practically use that knowledge. So when our gross experience become not that, say, registering something in the mind, when there is no enough food available for the mind, so what happens is already available perceptions, already available signs might pop up so that it gives some food to the mind. So that's how we get trapped and we add value. So it's a kind of an illusion, it's a kind of a mind-made perception, mind-made mental image. But immediately what happened, I couldn't keep it to that level, consider it as a mere perception, consider it as a mere mental sign, but I attribute it to the Buddha. I am seeing the Buddha. Because of my lot of parami, now Buddha is coming in front of me to give me instructions. Now I am going to get the instruction from the Buddha. So you don't know the story. I know I got the instruction directly from the Buddha, not from Bhante Dhammajiva, not from Bhante Chandaratana. I got instruction from the Buddha. Don't talk to me. It can happen. So some are telling that. So some are even telling that. Okay, you need to do this for a long time. Calm down this thing, then Buddha may come and give you the kamatahan. It can happen. And sometimes maybe a little sound happen. Now we just talk about the images. How about the sounds? And we can even interpret as maybe a very beautiful arahants blessing me as Parivatta chanting because I am doing really well. My morality is excellent. My samadhi is excellent. Now I am almost going to attain jhana. Now I am going to attain magga phala. So arahants are blessing me. I can hear that. Sounds. So we can interpret as a beautiful experience, but a mere sound. How many of us would recognize it as a mere sound? So many yogis actually they say, sometimes they say, okay, Bhante, while I was calm down, I was really beautiful, Bhante, really beautiful. It's a real clouds are there, angels are there, little beautiful gardens are there, flowers are there. I also was there, Bhante. I heard that many times, particularly, from whom. Then it's very difficult to take them out. So they like to enjoy. You are feeding it. You add your own stuff. You add your own perceptions into the picture. And you are now creating a big story about it. And you can see how we get trapped. So that's why in the Vipassana practice or say in the Satipatthana practice, early stages, that's why we need to trust this very ordinary bodily experience. Very ordinary. It is not that blissful like that story. It's not wonderful like that story that you have created. This bodily experience is very, very boring. But you need to come to that. So the proper path is there. Proper path may not have any kind of those wonderful, magical, illusionary things. So that's why very difficult. So that's why Magga Jnana Dassana Visuddhi. You have heard about it. So how are we going to recognize the correct path and the wrong path? Very difficult. So we tempt to give marks, we tempt to give values, we tempt to give admiration to all these wonderful things, beautiful things. We can't stop ourselves knowing it's just a mirage, not water. Marichikupama sanya. So the sanya as a really kind of deluded nature. Very, very difficult. So one area that we get trapped, we get entangled, are these perceptions. Very difficult. And a huge amount of yogis are sometimes trapped there. Typically we get, at least for some time we get deluded by that. And maybe if you heard Buddha's teaching, if you meet a Kalyana Mitta, probably, if you are humble, probably you are able to overcome that. Otherwise we get trapped continuously. And next time you sit even to see that whatever the beautiful, imaginary, illusionary thing, that you even prefer to see that. It's very beautiful. Now say, for example, why these people are using drugs and alcohol and all these things. So it may also create this kind of illusionary hallucinations in the mind. May be very beautiful. They enjoy that. The same thing here. Without drugs, without alcohol, Why not enjoying it? So that's why we need to have a little bit of common sense. Our eyes are closed. How are we seeing things? So mind-made things. So that's why the mind-made things are kind of magic of the mind. Magic of the mind. It is not a real thing. It is not something tangible. It is not something realistic. Something magical, something illusionary, something deluded things. So we have to have some kind of common sense. We have to have some kind of, say, wisdom when we are practicing. So now, say for example, while you are walking in a desert, of course you might see the mirage. So once you see the mirage, are you going after that in search of water? Are you? Why not? From where that knowledge comes to you? Who prevents you from running after the mirage? So that's an understanding, right? So you have an understanding, yes, there's a possibility. When I am in a heated environment, say when the dry weather is there, when the heat is available, when the sunshine is available, there's a kind of a glimmer happens in the desert or on the road or whatever it is. So that is not the water. So you have that as an understanding. Even though it appear like water, you are not running after that, because that understanding prevents you from running after that, isn't it? Same thing can't we apply when we have closed our eyes and the breath becomes subtler and subtler, then the beautiful image appear. So can't we have that knowledge here? Same thing. So we have to have that knowledge. Buddha mentioned Marichikupama Sanya. Monks, I say, perceptions are a mirage. So we need to remember this Buddha's words. So that's why even though it is so beautiful, so attractive, your eyes are closed, you are seeing a mental image. That's it. If you are adding to it, if you are putting your own stuff, if you add your own likes and dislikes, your favorite things and all, then it becomes more complicated. It will take you for a ride. That's it. So mind has that capacity. Whatever way you want to perceive, it will generate that whole hallucination in the mind. This has a magical kind of a power in the mind. So the way you feed it, it will generate a really beautiful story. You are utterly trapped. So in one sense, so we have to educate the yogis, educate the practitioner. So there is a possibility like this. So be careful about it. Be prepared. It does not happen to everybody anyway. So there are people who never go through it even. But for certain others, it happens. Again and again it happens. And the more you get trapped, or more you give marks to it, more you give value to it, more you are going to get it. But the moment that you stop it, you apply your brakes, use your brain, not only brakes, and then you are able to calm down, relax. Okay, I don't need it. I know, Mara, you're trapped. I'm no more going to get trapped onto your bait. I know it's a sanya, it's a perception. Though it is beautiful, though it is attractive, it's just an illusion. So like that, in a way, we need to educate ourselves. So let's see some more information about these perceptions tomorrow. And there are some more things to discuss. And today I just want to have a kind of a initial discussion and prepare the ground to have some understanding about the perceptions. So with that, I conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening. So at the end of the Dhamma sermon, so we'll share the merits. So today most of you are here and practice to the best of your ability and participated in the Dhamma discussion and listened to the Dhamma sermon. And all these merits what we accumulated, let's share with celestial beings, we share with the past relatives and whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to understand the Buddha's teaching and to practice to the best of our ability. While keeping these good wishes in our mind, let's recite the traditional verses. Ettavata cham hehi sambatang punya sampadang Samme deva anumodantu samba sampatti siddhya. Ettavataca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavataca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika. Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika. Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika. Punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mamparang. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo. Satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiyā. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Actually, I just got the sharing of merits for the offering of dana. Lunch dana by Devi and Dharmasiri Jayawardhana to offer merits to their departed parents and daughter. Also to offer blessings and good health to Venerable Bhante and all at Kalalgoda and Mithirigala. Why not to everyone? To everyone. Okay, thank you very much. Then we'll conclude the session.